So we're going to be concluding Unit 2 today, talking about indices, and we're going to calculate the readability of a passage using the Fleschkade grade level index, also known as the FKGLI. So basically we're going to be continuing on using kind of formulas, and I've done also an Excel deal that I'll show here in a second on how I came up with what I did, just because I think it's a lot easier than going through and using your calculator and spending all this time. If you know what I'm going to be asking you, such as grades, weighted averages, baseball ratings, quarterback rating, baseball stats, and things like what we're going to do today with the FKGLI. Then you can pre-make this, and then that way when you're doing your assignments and homework, you can just type that in, type in that stuff. So an index is just a number on a defined scale used to make comparisons among values, to see trends, time, or to compare a value to some fixed reference point or reference numbers. So you have the Consumer Price Index, the Consumer Confidence Index, the Dow Jones, the Gunning-Fogg Index, which is the GFI we'll look at today, and the Fleschkade Grade Level Index. So the GFI and the FKGLI are indices that are used to determine a passage reading level. So when you look at a book, you focus on certain elements such as how many words, how many sentences, how many complex words, and how many syllables. So if you read a book marked at a certain grade level, like 8.2, that means that's grade 8, second month. That's where that should be. That's kind of the bar. Grade 7 would just mean 7th grade. Grade 16, like a grade of 16 would be like a senior in college type of thing. Grade 5, kindergarten, so on and so forth. Or not grade 5, sorry. Yeah, grade, I guess 0 would be kindergarten. Grade 1 would be first grade, so on and so forth. Okay, so this is our formula that we're using for the GFI. Once again, we have words, sentences, complex words, and the GFI uses complex words, where the FKGLI uses syllables. And complex words are defined as 3 syllables or more. And this is the formula for that. I should have another parentheses right here to kind of close this. But if you notice, if we're trying to calculate the GFI, then if we use Excel, we can program our cells to be 0.4, parentheses, whatever words, so if we figure out how many words we have, whatever cell that would represent, divided by the number of sentences we have, plus 100 times the complex words divided by the number of words, then we can easily compute this pretty quickly just reading a passage and documenting some stuff. So the Fleschkade grade level index is an alternative to the GFI, and it's based on the total number of sentences, words, and syllables written in a passage, and the formula looks like this. So we're going to compute these. So if you're watching the video for the first time, I would encourage you to pause this and read and try to see if you can find how many words, and it might be helpful if I'll go ahead and show this first one. It might be helpful if you kind of make a list as you're going through, maybe line by line. So, for instance, if you're counting the words, maybe go back through and count the words and the syllables of each line first, and then go back through and look at the complex words as an entire passage, and then count how many sentences there are. Because the sentences should be short, because you can look for where the periods are, right? And the complex words, you just have to read the passage and just sound out the syllables again, make note of which ones are complex. So if you do that, you end up getting something like this. So if you highlight the complex words, remember 3 syllables or more, averages, computations, variety, representations, already, so on and so forth. If I made a column over here with syllables as I go through, this line has 15 syllables. Weighted averages can be tricky because they occur in 15 syllables, 9 words. and we continued to do that, and we gathered this information. We write it down as we go. You can get a highlighter and do the complex words, but I had 8 complex words. And now that I have this information here, this is what I can enter in after I do a little bit of formulas in Excel. Let me show you how I got this. So this passage would be considered, this got a grade of 16 on the GFI, and on the FKGLI, it got a 15.34. So the 16, this is rated as, that says that this is for this passage, at least these 2 sentences would be a senior in college. But I'm only basing this off of 2 sentences, and I actually kind of cut the passage short. So what we have written just here would be a senior level in college for the GFI and a sophomore in college. So let's see how I came up with that. Okay, so I started off by creating what I'm going to be entering in right up here. So the parts of this formula are the words, the sentences, the complex words, and the syllables. And so I'm going to be entering in stuff here. And then I also have, I just put line here. If you want to keep track of the lines that you're looking at, you can do that. This is not necessary, but that's just kind of what I put up here. Now, when I go through and if I create a list of words and syllables, those are my 2 things at the end. So if I don't want to feel like going through and using my calculator and adding up 16 plus 15 plus 18 plus all this other stuff, then what I can do is I can write my words here. So if you look at, well, mine looks a little bit different on my sheet of paper. Let's see if I can... Okay, so here's my passage once again. I have my Excel thing spread out. So if I go through my number of words and I don't want to add 9 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 7, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just type this all in. And since I need to know the total amount of words, what I can do down here is I created a sum column. So if you look right up here, this formula says the sum, that means adding, and I want to add my my B2 cell and all the way to my B20 cell. So whatever I have in there, it will add those together, and I can use that as my formula with my formula. So whenever I write my formula, I'm not going to put in this cell. I'm going to put in this cell as my words because this already has my stuff added together. So, for instance, if you want to test this out, we have like 1 plus 3 is 4, so I can go 1 and 3, and that should give me 4. If I add 5 to that, that should give me 9, so on and so forth. So I already have that calculated for me, so whatever my words are going to be calculated. And if we go over here to the GFI and the FKGLI, notice all of my my cells have to do with 21 instead of 2 because I'm taking the sum of everything I type in here if I go line by line type of thing. If you don't go line by line and you just want to do it all at once, then there's no need to do a sum of everything. But it's just making your life a little bit easier if you do it that way, in my opinion. Okay. And I guess we don't need any of these. Okay. Where were we? So once I have my passage and I have all my cells set up, once again, all of these represent the sum of each one of these columns. And sentences, I put that in there too, but I mean, really, I'm just going to, instead of doing line by line, I'm just going to put 2 sentences here because that's all there is. And that will just be, I mean, I don't need to add, I mean, if I had multiple sentences in one line, I can go through and do that way. But anyways, the number of words that I have, I'm going to go 9, 8, 8, 8, 7. That's what I got for my number of words. My number of sentences here are 2. My complex words I highlighted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My syllables I have on the side, so I have 15, 15, 17, 14, and 14, and there's my calculations. So the GFI would be a grade 16, senior level in college, and the FKGLI on this passage would be considered for a sophomore in college grade reading level. Keep in mind, though, this is a very small passage. It's only 2 sentences, so it's not like that hard. Not like you have to be a senior in college to read this. But that's how that system works. So let's look at this next passage. And see how you guys do on this. So from the current slide, kind of do the same thing here. I would pause the video, make a little column here, maybe highlight the complex words as you go through, and then unpause the video and see what you get. Now you can go through once again and use your calculator to type in all those formulas, or you can try to create those formulas in Excel. And then when you do, you should get something like this. So once again, if this is my passage, you go ahead and just delete these. You don't want to delete your formulas. You just want to delete the numbers that you entered in. Because if you delete the formulas, then you'll have to do them again. So, let's see. My words are on the right over here. So I have 11, 12, 10, 8, 12, 10, 10, and 2. My sentences, I had 2 sentences again. My complex words, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I had 9. And my syllables, 17, 15, 13, 18, 16, 18, 16, and 2. And then here is my GFI and my FKGLI just by entering in the data. Obviously, you have to do a little bit of formulas in Excel to get that, but the GFI would be a 19.8 for this passage, and the FKGLI would be a 17.13. So, once again, this is a small passage, but obviously from Harry Potter. But, I mean, they would take an entire book and do the same type of thing. So, anyways, based off of this passage, this would say that this is an adult level reading. And, I mean, when you have 75 words and 2 sentences, that's a lot of words. And you have 115 syllables and 2 sentences. So, and out of those, you have 9 complex words. So that is what it is. But that is the how to calculate the GFI and the FKGLI.